In addition to salaries, another important cost of an employer is to purchase statutory social insurance for each employee.
This is Complex Made Easy with Dezan Shira Associates in partnership with Laytons ETL.
To answer this question, we have to understand the nature of trade unions in mainland China. Trade unions in China are organizations under the leadership of China Communist Party, voluntarily joined by workers. They are the connection between the Chinese Communist Party and the workers. Trade unions represent the interests of workers and safeguard workers' rights and interests. There are vertical level of trade unions. The higher level trade unions lead the lower level trade unions. The All China Federation of Trade Unions is the top level. The trade unions organized within each company are usually the basic level. A company having 25 or more employees is required to create a trade union commission. That is to say, a company having less than 25 employees is not necessarily required to create a trade union commission, but it can co-create a trade union commission with other companies. We recently wrote an article focusing on China trade unions. If you are interested to learn more about it, you can click the link in the description box.
In England, in the UK indeed, there are requirements to recognise trade unions for bargaining purposes, where a sufficient number of the employees have signed up to a union and in any bargaining unit in a place of work. And that then entitles the union to make an application to the employer and seek recognition. If the employer refuses recognition, then there's a statutory mechanism through the Central Arbitration Committee which entitles the union to actually enforce recognition. Unions are not frequently recognised in the UK. It's not particularly important to the UK workforce. However, having said that, in circumstances where we have advised clients, and it has happened a few times over the past few years that clients have approached us for advice, the advice has been to seek to enter into a voluntary agreement with the union to avoid the statutory process for two reasons. One, the statutory process is convoluted, takes time and requires advice and expense. Secondly, once there is a statutory recognition in place, then it becomes a much more difficult negotiation. It's quite hard to then change it, and it becomes quite inflexible. So yes, there is a mechanism. It's not very often used. It tends to be found in the public sector, but there are some private sector employers where unions have obtained recognition and are recognised for bargaining purposes. Works councils are even less frequently found in the workplace. There are instances where there are requirements to inform and consult, principally when a business is being sold under transfer of undertaking regulations. However, works councils were much more frequently found where you had a multinational with a European component to it, so you would have European works councils. They were far more frequently found in the UK prior to Brexit. Now, it is possible to find works councils, it is possible to ask for one to be created, but it's a very rare occurrence and tends to be something that only happens with large employers, particularly where those employers are seeking to avoid a union recognition. So employers may, if they feel that a union is sniffing around their workforce, decide to set up a works council and recognise it in preference to having an outside union come in and be recognised and have those outside influences on their workforce.
There is no nationwide minimum wage. The minimum wage differs from city to city. For example, the latest minimum wage in Guangzhou, a city in Guangdong Province, South China, is RMB 2,300 yuan per month for full-time employees and RMB 22.2 yuan per hour for part-time employees. In Shanghai, the famous city in East China, the minimum standard is RMB 2,590 yuan per month for full-time and RMB 23 yuan per hour for part-time.
The national minimum wage is actually called the national living wage if one is 23 years old or above and is currently £8.91. It increases each April. For those employees who are under the age of 23, it can reduce as far down as £4.30 for apprentices. It is quite an important provision to look out for because failure to pay national minimum wage or national living wage is in fact something that is actionable by Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, who have the right to prosecute and to impose fines and to collect the wages that haven't been properly paid to the employees. So again, it's a slightly tricky area because often employers fail to take into account all the working hours they should when calculating the national minimum wage, or they sometimes will fail to take into account allowances that should in fact not be deducted for the purposes of calculating the wages. So again, it's an area that looks straightforward at first glance, but actually can be quite tricky and does require proper advice where more complicated work patterns are being imposed and where employees are at the national minimum wage. Here at Laytons, we frequently have useful information and articles which we publish at www.laytons.com. Please do visit our website, and if you have any questions, please do contact us.
The UK.Ireland desk at Dezan Shira Associates assists British businesses with market entry, legal, finance and HR in Asia. For expert advice on employing people in China or UK investment into Asia, contact us at UK.Ireland-Shira.com. To stay up to date with the latest investment news into Asia, visit and subscribe to asiabriefing.com.